So after the last 12 months, me and my partner Beth visited around 15 different countries. And one of those countries was India. Now, India gets a lot of attention online, on social media, in the media, sometimes for all the wrong reasons. Now, we spent 7 weeks in India, starting all the way down in Kochi and working our way up to Delhi. So it was quite the ride for 7 weeks. To be honest, I wouldn't do it again for 7 weeks. 7 weeks was way too long, but we got to see one of the most interesting countries in the world, and that is India. Now, this video is going to be about 3 places that we did not like in India. So just a bit of disclaimer, guys, this is all from my personal experience. This is how I felt when I traveled around there. If you go, you might love the places. Everyone's different, and yeah, don't take what I say as gospel, but this is just my personal experience. So, number 1 in places you should not visit in India is Hyderabad. Now, we actually went to Hyderabad on a bit of a whim. We weren't actually supposed to go there. We were currently in Bangalore or Bengaluru, and we wanted to go to Hampi, but at that time we left everything last minute and we couldn't get either a bus or a direct train to Hampi. And Hyderabad was the next closest place we thought would give a try. Now, we did vlog the entire time in Hyderabad, and it turns out that we actually stayed in more of the downtown area. And apparently there is a high-tech city in Hyderabad. Now, we spent about 3 days there, and I absolutely hated it. My partner Beth also hated it. Hyderabad, after a really good start in India when we visited Kochi, Mysore and Bengaluru, we actually were on a bit of a high in India. Most people said don't go to India, it's dirty, all this, all that. They recommended to stay well away from India. But at that time, after visiting Kochi, Mysore and Bangalore, we were loving India. So we were like, at what point does India start getting dirty and annoying and unenjoyable? And it turns out Hyderabad was that point. Now, we stayed in a hotel where there was a huge, motorway. It was like a massive road traveling right through the center of the city. It was traffic 24/7. There was beeping, there was honking the horns, there was like constant standstill traffic. You couldn't breathe because the air quality was so bad. And we also had a really bad run-in with our security guard in our hotel who tried to scam us about 3 different times. And that person is supposed to be the security guard. He's supposed to be the one keeping people safe. And that is the least safe we found in any hotel in any countries on our travels because of that security guard who tried to scam us numerous times. So we already had a bad experience solely from that security guard. And we just really didn't enjoy the rest of the city. It was really dirty. The people weren't very nice. There was so much traffic. It was so busy everywhere. One thing I would mention though is that the Hyderabadi biryani is incredible. That is the only thing that's good about Hyderabad. The biryani is incredible. Now, disclaimer here, guys, we did not go to the high-tech city, so I can't comment on that. But for the rest of Hyderabad, there just really wasn't much around or much to go and see. So honestly, don't go to Hyderabad. There are so many other places in India you can spend your time. Next in at number 2 is a city that's this color. So Jodhpur, or the famous blue city, is one of the most appealing or attractive places for people who have not yet been to India. It's part of the Golden Triangle up north near Jaisalmer and Delhi, and honestly, before I went there, all over Instagram, you saw these beautiful blue buildings, this magnificent architecture, and I agree, the architecture is really cool. The blue buildings are really cool, and the big fort on top of the hill is insane. However, my God, Jodhpur to me is the least favorite place in India. It was so hectic, so dirty, and just really not enjoyable. So we stayed up at the top. So you've got kind of like I'm not sure how to describe it, but there's like a bit of a fort area. And we stayed up near the top, so you can't really get tucked up to our hotel anyway. There's so many steep hills and steps. And when we went in the middle of summer, it was so hot. But one of the reasons I really didn't like Jodhpur was the fact it was so dirty. Now, of course, throughout India and Sri Lanka, you get loads of street dogs or community dogs, as they call them. They're stray dogs that no one really owns, but they kind of keep the building safe and people safe. And all throughout Sri Lanka and India, I didn't really see much dog poo anywhere. It's really weird. But in Jodhpur, basically, it's everywhere. Every street you go down is covered in dog poo, and the locals don't even clean it up. It's just there. You have to avoid it all times. Half the time you stand in it because there is so much down these little alleyways that because no one really owns the dogs, they don't take any responsibility for cleaning them up. So I'm not joking. If you do go to Jodhpur, just please be aware there's dog poo everywhere. And basically Jodhpur, you have the kind of inner fort area, and then after that you have the rest of the city. And we thought one day, just because we've eaten so much Indian food, we're going to go get ourselves a McDonald's. Now McDonald's is actually located outside of the little fort area, so you kind of have to go outside the fort, walk down the main road and turn left, and there's like an alleyway between the main road and the McDonald's, which most people use. And we started walking through there and we saw loads of people covering their noses and covering their mouths. And I thought this must be just pollution. And we kind of walked through this alleyway. There was a massive mountain of bin bags. All on the floor was feathers and bones from chickens. And then I looked to my right and there's a dead cow upside down, swollen, just about to pop in the middle of the street. And at that point I thought Jodhpur really is not nice. So that really ruins my experience there. I just thought the people in Jodhpur, again, really pushy, always trying to scam you. It just wasn't nice. And because the streets are so small, you've got tuk-tuks, you've got bikes, you've got people, everyone trying to cram down these tiny little roads. It's just chaos all the time. And just, I guess I had really high expectations of what Jodhpur was like because of the photos you see. But honestly, that is one place I think I would never, ever go back to. And then that leads me off into number 3, which of course, guys, most people will already expect this. It is Delhi. Now, Delhi was admittedly our last stop in India, so we had 7 weeks up until this point. And of course, traveling for 7 weeks in one country does take its toll anyway, so we were very tired, but Delhi, my God. We arrived there just after burning season, so the pollution was terrible, like really bad. You couldn't see more than 200 meters in front of you. And when you have Indian people themselves, local people saying, don't go to Delhi, it's a hellhole and it doesn't represent India, they are not lying. They're correct. Whilst there is a lot to do in Delhi, there's New Delhi, there's Old Delhi, there's forts, there's a Red Fort, and there's all this historical stuff that you can go and see, which is really nice to see, and I would definitely recommend. Delhi is just not a nice place. The pollution there is awful. The traffic is awful. Everyone's trying to scam you left, right, and center. Because at this point we'd been in India for 7 weeks, so we had a very good eye on what to watch out for when people come and try and like scam you. And in Delhi, it's intense. As soon as they see like a tourist, they're on them all the time, and it's just like, leave people alone. Stop trying to scam them. It's just annoying. But again, like the streets are just, especially Old Delhi, the streets are just kind of littered with dirt and cows and all that kind of stuff. And it just really, I don't know, it's just not a nice place. Now, as I said at the start of this video, there are so many places that you should visit in India that are really nice, and I will put them in a subsequent video. But I guess this video is just a simple one on 3 places that I personally didn't like. You might like them, you might go to India and absolutely love them. The thing is, when you go to India for the very first time, everything's new, you appreciate everything. Even if it's dirty, you kind of think, oh, it's just a bit of a different culture. But when you travel there for an extended period of time, the novelty does wear off a little bit. And yeah, you kind of see it for what it is. Now, I know there's going to be a lot of offended Indians in here. This is not a comment on the whole country. There are parts of India I did love, like the food. I love the food. Even in Jodhpur, which I hated, I still loved the food. I mean, my favourite food throughout the whole of India was the masala dosas. I know that's a South Indian dish, but unbelievable. So if you are going to India, definitely try the masala dosas because they are incredible. Idli as well. It's just a perfect breakfast. But yeah, that is 3 places that I did not like in India and that I would recommend for newbies to avoid. If you want places I recommend, I'm going to release this in a separate video next. But yeah, I guess thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.